me if I'm wrong, but one of probably the high points of your BYU athletic career.
And yeah, a lot of work went into that. If you watch my reaction after the catch, oh my gosh, it was just this like out of body experience.
There's a clip of you and Taysom Hill sharing an emotional moment in the locker room.
Yeah, so Taysom and I had a funny career together. We were always really close. Right when I saw him, he was just sobbing.
How did life change after that catch?
There's cameras and storytelling and media everywhere going on about what these guys are doing.
You were able to catch a touchdown. Remind me, was it with the Dolphins or the Vikings?
With the Dolphins.
How did you get from 0 to agents to 100?
I can't say that was the reason, because it's not, like I am a drop of water in the ocean with Anthem.
Well, what's your game plan?
I have some really cool stuff that I wish I could divulge to you, but I have some really cool stuff coming up.
Welcome back to the Meet McKay Show. Guys, we have a legend in the house with us today. We have Mitch Matthews here. Mitch, thank you so much for hopping on with me today.
Happy to be here, baby.
Let's dive right into it. So first things first, obviously you're a legend at BYU. You had the famous Nebraska catch. I feel like there's a lot of work that you put in going into that. And that was, tell me if I'm wrong, but one of probably the high points of your BYU athletic career.
I'd say it was the pinnacle for sure. And yeah, a lot of work went into that. If you watch my reaction after the catch, oh my gosh, it was just this like out of body experience. What had happened hadn't really settled in yet. It was just, oh my gosh, we won the game. Oh my gosh, we won it in this fashion, which was fun enough and amazing. And then it starts to settle in when, people start talking about it as one of the greatest plays in BYU history. And you're like, honored to be on that list.
Yeah.
And then I'm not joking. Not a day goes by. Not a day has gone by in the last 7 years since that happened that someone hasn't brought it up to me. I was at the pickleball course yesterday. Someone came up to me, we talked about it, which I love. It is great. But I had a lot of deep impact on a lot of people that are watching because, any game in that fashion is important and big. But BYU has a lot of history. And so that just adds to, the crazy history that BYU already has. And everyone remembers where they were when the game happened and where the play, everyone remembers their story, whatever it was. I've heard of people jumping up and down, getting injured, people bonking their head on the ceiling. They're jumping so high. Like I heard every story and it's amazing.
Wow.
So definitely the pinnacle of my career, but I don't want to be known just as, that guy only.
For sure.
Everything should be a body of work, not just a one moment thing. But I'm happy that I had a great moment like that to solidify a fun career that I had.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Hey guys, quick interruption of the podcast really quick. If you haven't yet, consider checking out the links down below for the Meet McKay Executive Club. You'll quickly just put your email into a little spot and that's it. It's free. And my goal is to provide you guys as much free value as possible where I teach and explain the lessons that I'm learning from Kevin and from awesome guys like Mitch Matthews. Every single day, every single weekday, I will send an email to you with something that I'm learning or a process that I'm going through as I try to hopefully build these billion-dollar companies. So if you guys haven't yet, quickly check out that link down below and let's get back to the podcast.
How did life change after that catch? Before, like pre-campus or pre-Mitch Matthews, before that catch, how did everything change afterward?
Well, what happened was there was a Hail Mary week 1, and there's a Hail Mary week 2 with Mitch Juergens. And so for like the next 2 weeks, there was ESPN cameras like on campus at practice. We go to eat breakfast, there's cameras there. We go to meetings, there's cameras there. We go to practice, there's a reporter there. There's cameras and storytelling and media everywhere going on about what these guys are doing. And I wish every single game we had that year would have won by Hail Mary fashion, but bad luck seems to run out.
Yeah.
But I mean, the increased amount of love, I guess, and attention on the team and myself was there. And then even when I went and played in the NFL afterwards, everyone already knew I was the Hail Mary guy. Like that play in that game was big, not just for BYU, but it was big in the country because it was the first college football game of the year. That type of fashion that you win a game, people don't miss that. They see it on ESPN, they hear about it, and they hear about it multiple times. And then to a lot of coaches that I play with, they're like, yeah, you're the Hail Mary guy, which is awesome. But yeah, it drew a lot of attention to the team and myself, and we rolled with it.
Good. Yeah. So obviously that was probably that week was just everywhere, Sports Center top 10, whatever. However, I want to touch on something that's always stuck with me. After that, so one of the biggest stories to that game was Taysom Hill actually went down with an injury. He was supposed to have a monster senior season. It was supposed to just be like this dream team at BYU. But that wasn't the case. And there's a clip, I'll probably edit this in, but there's a clip of you and Taysom Hill sharing an emotional moment in the locker room. Would you mind walking me through that and what that meant?
Yeah. So Taysom and I had a funny career together. We were always really close, and we were the exact same age, exact same year. So our freshman year, we came in working out together in the off seasons. We were on the same intramural softball team, super close. And neither of us were starters. We played as freshmen, but neither of us were starters. And so there was always this buildup of, what him and I could do. Our sophomore year, Taysom became a starter. And then I started to start some games as well. And then I blew out my shoulder. And so that was sort of this, once again, like we were supposed to be him and I that did all these great things together. And then one of us got hurt. Our junior year, same thing. We trained all off season for this big junior year for, the team, and especially him and I, we connected so well. And then he broke his leg early in the season. So I got a new quarterback, Christian Stewart. And then our senior year, same thing. It was like, all right, finally, we're both super healthy. We're both seniors. We're both leaders on the team. It's supposed to be a massive year for us. And then first game of the season, Taysom goes down. So it just kept happening in that fashion where, myself or he kept getting hurt, and we were never able to have this full season together, like the Max Hall, Austin Collie type, or Max Hall, Dennis Pitta, or there's a million you can name, but we were never able to have that. And so when he went down, we're still playing this game with this new quarterback, Tanner Mangum, but you weren't sure if what his injury was, Taysom's injury was. You're like, I heard he hurt his foot. Maybe it's broken, maybe it's not, but I'll see him in the locker room afterwards. And so he went into the locker room and you never saw him for the rest of the game. And the game ended the way it did. And so our emotions are just so crazy high. Like, this is insane. We're vibing off this crazy win. And then when the dust settles after 30 minutes of, the craziness, we go back in the locker room. We're still celebrating and cheering and going crazy. And then you see Taysom, sitting down with crutches and this makeshift cast over his foot. And I was the last one in the locker room just because of all the stuff I had to do after the game. And I came in there, and right when I saw him, he was just sobbing. And one of the doctors told me as I was walking up to him that it was a Liz Frank injury, season's guaranteed to be over. And then we just saw each other, and we'd had this big embrace. And it was just this crazy moment of the highest high you can even get to the lowest low that your brother, teammate, quarterback that had this special bond with me wasn't able to play the rest of the season. So it was this weird come down of high to lowest of low. And I've never experienced this bittersweet moment like that, Yeah. At least within, that type of a time frame. And it was just tough because we had trained so much together. Now I got this new quarterback, this freshman Tanner Mangum. Who the heck is this guy? I love Tanner. But at the moment you're like, this is just too much to handle. We're supposed to have this great senior season together, but now it's over. So now we got to refigure out this whole offense. And so it was tough. I felt so bad for my brother, Taysom, that he had to go through that and deal with that again. And, I think the story was made great at the end of the day. He was able to heal up, get better, play a senior season again after I left, and then play 7 years in the NFL. So luckily that turned out to be a blip in the road for him and not career ending, but it still at the time was very tough for both of us as great friends, competitors. I just wanted to play with my brother for our senior season because we had been waiting for that moment for a long time.
Totally. Yeah. I thank you for sharing that. That's always something that I've wanted to ask you about. And so it's cool that I'm able to.
Yeah.
So talking about bittersweet moments, you've often shared that all in the same week, your mother passed away, you got married, so many life events, you're working hard to get into the NFL. You're working at all these different angles. What was that bottom like for you? And more important than just the emotions, what tools did you use tactically to get out of that?
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack there, which I'm happy to do.
Let's do it.
But yeah, I talk about that bittersweet moment with Taysom. I had a way more bittersweet moment, with getting married and losing my mom all in the same weekend. So my life growing up, high school, middle school, even most of college was fairly easy. I was always like a really good athlete. I had a lot of friends and great parents, and we had everything we ever needed, and I had it very easy. And even in college, it wasn't that hard to become a starter and to become, the featured guy. It wasn't until I went to the NFL where I feel like I actually got smacked around a little bit with trials. I was always mentally stable and with it and competitive, and it could hold my own. But you go to the NFL, and I wasn't a starter. Like Tyreek Hill was. Him and I were roommates together in training camp, and he was like an instant starter, which I obviously should have been. I didn't have that. I had to grind for everything. Go to the practice squad. Like I had to grind for everything there, and so I didn't have it easy, and life was stressful. And within a month of me being in the NFL, I got a call from my mom that she had terminal cancer, which was just like flooringly tough because her and I were extremely, extremely close. And now I had that to deal with and balance. Like, do I just quit football? Like, I'm fine quitting if I can go be with my mom before she passes away. And I was 25 at the time, so I was young. And going through this, I'm trying to play and make a name for myself with this next level in the NFL. But I got this mom who's just rapidly declining. And all through this, at the same time, I have a very serious girlfriend who I'm planning on getting engaged to, and we're married now. And all this is happening at one time. And I don't remember ever thinking like, hey, Mitch, this is your moment to define who you are. You don't like think that in the time. You're just like surviving. Like I'm surviving on the field. And I went to play with the Cleveland Browns and the Minnesota Vikings. Now I'm changing teams. Now teams are cutting me and not wanting to sign me. I'm going through some changes. And just a lot was happening. And my mom's health started to rapidly decline after I got engaged. And my mom comes home one day with my dad, and I can tell they're visibly like very upset. And she's like, yeah, the doctor gave me like a month to live. And I'm not even joking. I think all of us that were in that room, like looked at our phones, were like a month, like that. Our wedding's a month from today. And the wedding didn't matter. Like in terms of like, me and my wife were like, or fiance were like, let's just move it. Let's just move it till like next weekend. We don't care. Like it's not a big deal. It'll happen no matter what, And she's like, no, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. And if my mom said that, like she was typically right. I mean, she had a 6-pack abs, like marathoner, freak athlete, super fit, super healthy, very, very, very there, and strong mentally. So we were confident she was going to make it. As the weeks went on, it started to decline really, really fast. And I think all of us sort of lost hope and the ability to get there. She ended up passing away a couple of days before my birthday, April 13th, 2017. And our wedding, or her funeral was, a week later. And it was, I think, on a Thursday, and our wedding was on a Saturday. So her funeral was like 2, maybe 3 days before our wedding. It was just one of those, like, I don't even know the word for it, but you're like, how is this even possible? You couldn't even write a movie about like this situation, but I can't change it. I got to go through it. And so I had this crazy tough moment with my mom. And then that same weekend, I'm getting married, and all the people that flew into town for my mom's funeral from, relatives, cousins, they wore like the same outfit to the wedding because well, we can just do a 2-for-1, right? Go hit a funeral, hit a wedding at the same time. And it was rough. It was really tough. And it was sort of a, what is called a crucible moment for me. All great leaders, all people that, make changes in their community and lead movements and lead businesses and lead people, they have, all of them have what's called a crucible moment, a crazy story going through something crazy hard, like nuts hard. And they use that as a staple in their life to sort of establish who they are and use that story to propel them through the next challenges in their life. And so I came up with this term, redefine hard, that moment would redefine the definition of hard for me. Burying my mom in the ground on the same weekend as my own wedding, having her miss it. And then a few days later, I'm on the Minnesota Vikings. I'm trying to play football at the highest level. It's just crazy. That moment for me redefined what hard really meant. And so my perspective has forever changed. And I feel like my leadership and my outlook on life is so dramatically changed from that moment that I'm now able to lead more people, because what's hard to me is a little bit different than everybody else. And in hard times, I can think a little bit more clear, because I learned to think clear and perform at the highest level of football while all this other stuff was going on. And so performing at a high level while bad things are happening, still able to show love to my wife on the biggest moment of our lives, getting married, while nurturing this broken family that we had, who was all just swelled up with tears the whole weekend. Tears, we didn't know where they were coming from, man. It was just a freaking tear factory out there. So it was just living through that. And so that was a crucible moment for me for the next chapters of my life. And I would pay any dollar I have to get 5 minutes with her again, to get, more lessons and more mom, more coaching. But you roll with what life gives you, and you move forward with the next thing. Hopefully things aren't as hard as that again, but I'm prepared if they are.
So thank you for sharing like that. I can't imagine going through that. And I like leaves me speechless, like that story. How did you get through it? So we learned the story. What did you do every day when it's like, were you just trying to survive, or were you just like, how did you partition spaces in your mind for, okay, I got to get ready for the wedding. I got to get ready. I got to help my mom out. I got to get ready in the NFL. Like, what did you do? Or was it just like treading water?
No, I mean, no, you really can't. Like, you still have to be a dog mentally to go play a football in the NFL. Like, you can't be.
That's why it's so fascinating to me to figure out how you were so tender, but such a dog.
There's just no other choice. And some people take excuses and hard times as yes, my life's harder than yours, so that means I have a hall pass. I can take a break. I got a pass. I got an excuse ticket. Blam, I'm gonna lay that down because I'm going through stuff that's harder than everybody else, and so I get the excuse pass. And I just never thought that way. Some people are weird. They enjoy, they actually like when bad things happen, because they get to use it as an excuse to play with their friends. Is see, that's why that's why I don't have a job, because this bad thing happened. See, and it's a terrible way to think. And I want to look at this story. I couldn't change it. I knew for a fact I couldn't change it. If I could have changed it, I would. So I couldn't have changed it. So if I can't control it, I can't take the cancer away from my mom. I can't control the timing of this wedding. I wouldn't have anyways. I can't control that I'm in the NFL right now. I want to be in there. So nothing's changing. So how can I now use this as a crazy, inspiring story? Maybe possibly one of the most inspiring stories some people have ever heard. Maybe, I don't know. But that was my mindset, was how can I still perform with all this craziness to set a standard for my life, set a legacy for after I pass on, that this is what we do in our family. This is what we do. When my employees and my people are going through something that they believe is tough, and then they know this story of me, they might be able to bypass what they think they're going through, And so I can use that as an educator. So for me, I had no choice. I had to perform, and I had no control. So all those things together mean segment it out. When it's time to train football, you go all out and you give it everything you have. Even if there's tears flowing down your cheek while you train, it doesn't matter. You go perform because that's your job. That's what you're getting paid to do. For my wife, when we're planning a wedding, you plan it and you suck it up and you get ready to go. And, everyone, it seemed like everyone at the funeral wedding hybrid thing that we had, it seemed like everyone was having a harder time than my wife and I. I'm not joking. Everyone had a way harder time than we did. We were the ones that were like picking people up and like patting people on the shoulder, giving out hugs, like cheering people up, because that's just like that. We had no choice. There's no option than to just be okay and try to be okay. So I couldn't control it. I squeezed out every drop of juice with my mom and the time we had there, and you just rolled with it. And I've never been a person to like celebrate when they get injured so they can take a break, or like, I'm trying to think of more examples, but like when tough stuff happens, some people celebrate because it's their chance to get like, oh, are you okay, from other people. And I can't stand that. Like when I got hurt in college, like if I ever got injured, I like would like not tell people. I never wanted people to be like, oh, are you okay? I can't stand that. I don't want people to say, I'm so sorry for you. Sorry for what? I'm doing fantastic right now. Even if I wasn't inside, I just wanted people to know that like, trust me, I was hurting bad, but I wanted my mom to know that she wasn't like pulling me down or she wasn't draining my energy. I wanted to just be good for everybody, to like just give a good example and give a good legacy for those after me, So I had no choice, to answer your question. I had to just be good and cheer myself up and not use excuses, which were real. These are real excuses. Not use excuses and lay down this like free nap card or free like week off card. You know what I mean? The day after my mom passed away, she passed away in the middle of the night, and we were all there. It was like 2 a.m. and we were all awake. And I slept on the couch that was like half my size. And I got up 2 hours later at like 5 a.m. and I had a workout. It's 2 hours long and it was miserable and I grinded through it, but I had no choice. Like that's what she would have wanted anyway. So I'm going to get 2 hours of sleep, been crying all night, get up, go work out. I had practice. That's what I had to do. And so the Minnesota Vikings gave me like a week off to like, go through all this wedding and funeral. And I had training to do because I was missing training in Minnesota. So I was going to do the training here. And so that's what my mom would have wanted. And that's still a job I had. And so you perform through all the chaos. And that's what, makes you into a good human and a future leader.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. So when you were able to catch a touchdown, remind me, was it with the Dolphins or the Vikings?
It's with the Dolphins.
The Dolphins. Walk me through that, your touchdown, because that I remember watching that and be like, wow, he did it. Like that's freaking dope. Walk me through that. And then also in the same breath, walk me through, actually, let's just focus on that. Take me through what that touchdown was like for you.
Yeah. So the Minnesota Vikings ended up releasing me, which was so frustrating because it was like a month after, all that chaos went down. And I felt like they loved my game. The general manager, which is like the head guy, brought me into his office and told me he loved my game, told me that I was a top 5 receiver there. And stuff happened. I ended up still getting released, and I went to play for the Miami Dolphins. Like a week later, they signed me, which was awesome. So I was with them for like the next 5-6 months. And I looked on our calendar and I saw that we played them. We played the Minnesota Vikings. And I was pumped because I'm like, okay, what a great way to put some icing on this crazy cake to catch a touchdown against the team that just recently cut me through all the crap that I was going through. I love the team, loved all the teammates I had, but in my mind, I was like, screw those guys. Yeah. So that whole week in practice, I told my teammate, I said, hey, if you catch a touchdown, I'm going to help you celebrate. So we went and did we role played like some certain celebrations. And I said to my teammate, I said, hey, if I catch a touchdown, then you got to help me do an end zone celebration as well. Anyways, I knew I had to find my way in the end zone. And I told myself all week, I'm going to catch a touchdown. Like it's going to happen. And I think that's sort of been like the story of my life, is just telling myself I can do things even when I don't even have business doing them. I mean, in this case I did, but I just willed it into existence. You know, me and the quarterback are talking. I'm like, I'm going to catch a touchdown this week, you know, getting him pumped up on it too. But I just sort of willed it into existence. And it was just, it wasn't like a crazy big play. It was like a curl route, caught it, juked the defender, caught a touchdown, and then was finally able to celebrate in the end zone, unlike you could in college. I swear, if we could have celebrated in college, man, oh my gosh, I would have been orchestrating every type of celebration. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some dance choreography. It would have been off the charts. But yeah, I had caught a touchdown there. Kept the ball, of course. Now it sits in my office. And look, I wish I would have had like a 10-year, career there. But you roll the punches. You know, I hurt my ankle that game. I was out for 12 weeks. And that took me all the way to the end of that season. And that sort of became time to like, well, should I transition into being this entrepreneur that I wanted to be, or, go back and play another year and try again? It sort of fed into me being an entrepreneur and doing what I do now.
That actually feeds right into my next question is, oftentimes I've learned as an entrepreneur, when you have an idea and you cultivate it and you want it so bad and you can just see the writing on the wall that it's not going to work out. How did you know when it was time to, I hate to say the word, call it quits, but how did you know it was time to move on from the NFL? Because that had obviously been a dream of yours for so long. How did you know it's like, all right, let's hang it up. Let's go get something else?
Yeah. Fortunately for me, I love entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship lasts I'm going to be a 40, 50-year entrepreneur. You know what I mean? You play football till your mid-20s, most people, if you're lucky, till you're 30, for me, luckily, I loved and love entrepreneurship just as much as I love football. Now, play football as long as you can, because it stops for everyone at an early age. You can be an entrepreneur till you're 70, but you can't play football till you're 70. But for me, having been cut 4 times and being injured and being a little bit older, when NFL teams look at that resume, like you're a little bit older because you served a mission and you're injured now and you've been released 4 different times. Usually guys that make it are on the same team for like multiple years because they get to learn a system and an offense. So the way I looked at it was, and my agent told me, he's like, you're a little bit of old fruit, right? Like who do they want? A guy who's 26 years old now, who's been on 4 different teams, or they want a rookie who's 21 years old, a little bit healthier than you, and you're currently injured. So it was sort of at the time where I was like, you know what? I think it's time to transition into my next thing. It was just a gut feeling. And I think it worked out. And NFL teams started calling a little bit less and checking in a little bit less. And it sort of seemed like that's what the next thing was for me to do. Now, every team in Canada called. No way, I'm not playing there. You know what I mean? Like it was for me, it was like highest of high or not at all. And I was injured. So maybe if I was healthy, I would have gone and played in Canada for a year or something, but I wasn't. I was injured. So everything was just the answer no. I couldn't get picked up by a team because I was injured. And so it would have taken me into my 3rd year to even get picked up, which I probably could have, gotten picked up by another team. But things the way they worked was entrepreneurship. And that's what it's led me to this day. I'm glad I did.
Good. Yeah. I think that's important. The gut feeling that you had, and it's just kind of 70-year entrepreneur and play football as long as you can. I like that. So were you knocking while you were also technically signed while you were on your 12-week injury?
No, it was after.
So what was that first year like? Because that first year you're cut from the NFL. It sounds like you have a chip on your shoulder. I've heard that you were hobbling door to door. Take me through the ramp phase of 0 to your first 100 agents of Anthem. And from the entrepreneur side, how did you scale? I want to learn how you scale the business to, I think you've already said you have over 100 agents. What are the things you've done to scale Anthem?
Yeah. First, we started from ground zero. So a lot of these companies have started from like spin-offs from other companies. They start with momentum. We started with 0. And so we asked ourselves, what's going to give us momentum? Because we have no brand. It's not like I've been in pest control. People know me as a football player. So it's really cool that they like me from football, but they want to know how my company's the best and how they can get paid for my company. And that wasn't through my name. My name was in football at the time, And so when football was over, I said, okay, we need a momentum moment. We need a moment that's going to put us on the map. And that was my business partner and I going out and selling 1,000 homes in my first summer and his second summer. which at the time had never been done before. No one had done it in their second summer, sell 1,000 homes in the summer, and no one had done it in their first summer. And so just being overly confident coming from NFL, I'm like, okay, whatever the records are in this industry, I'm going to blow them out of the water. What are they? And the records were no rookie's ever done 1,000 accounts, let alone a second-year guy. And no one's ever done 1,000 sales in one summer in under 5 months. And so I said, both of those are done. Like, they're done. Like, they're actually done. They're done in my mind, so they're going to be done in reality. And I trained really hard. I read tons and tons of sales books, leadership books, communication books, trained, role played, practiced. And then when it was time to go perform, I prepared an A+ level. So I knew I was going to perform at an A+ level. Plus I completed it in my mind, which means I have a chance to complete it in reality. Never happens in reverse order. And that's what I went out and did. And my bag of whys, or my reasons for doing this, was, man, I just lost my mom like 6 months before. And my dream job of playing football at the highest level was coming to an end. And all those things, those crucible moments like I talked about, they fed into me having a chance to do this, because I had that chip on my shoulder, but I had a really deep reason to go have success, which was I got to prove that I can do something great. On top of that, it was I got to stamp Anthem with some momentum. I got to give us some boost, because right now we're nobody. And so I went out and did that, and we made a name for ourselves. And we've had hundreds of sales reps that have come through our company and sold pest control for us, and we'll have 40,000 homes that use our service over the next 2 months. And so it's done great. It's not because of me. It's because of everyone involved. I'm a tiny drop in the ocean, but I knew that that was my role, was to get the momentum going. That was the guy who I was at BYU. I was the emotional leader on the team. I'm the guy who got guys going, got guys pumped up. And I knew at Anthem I could do the exact same thing. And it was going to be through performance, high performance, that I was going to give us momentum and put the Anthem name on the map and give our guys a reason to want to come work here.
Good. The momentum part, that part is what I was looking for. I think it was good to see. I remember watching you knock door to door for those 1,000 accounts and seeing your company grow from there. So do you think that that's what got Anthem from 0 to 100, or what was was that the reason? What would you say? How did you get from 0 to agents to 100?
I can't say that was the reason, because it's not, like I said, I'm a drop of water in the ocean with Anthem. You know, Anthem will hit the 20 million in revenue mark at the end of this year in reoccurring revenue, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's not it's not because of me. But your job as a founder is to be like a founding father, and to be a big reason why it even starts, and have all the guts, and have all the risk, and have all the embarrassment of like, what do you mean you're starting an account? Like, dude, that's just so stupid. What do you mean you're going to go sell 1,000 accounts? That's just so stupid. Your job is to go through all that as a founder, to go through the mud, to go through not having a brand, and then hand off this well-oiled machine to other people who are just as talented as you, and have them grow the business. You know, so my partner and I, my partners and I, we had to go through the mud, and so that was our role. So we did that. We went out and sold 1,000 accounts, broke these records, made a name for ourselves. But I guess you could say I was the sort of the engine that got it going. But we've had so many talented people that have carried the torch and done extremely well and made all of our dreams happen through this. But yeah, as a founder, that's your role, to be the cheerleader, head coach, star athlete, star player, and wear multiple hats and get the ship moving. And it might be slow at first, but then it starts moving pretty dang quick. And then you start to learn how to steer the ship and how to set the sails and move really, really fast. And that was our job, to get it going. But we have a lot of great talented people right now that help the ship move really fast. Good.
You've often talked about one of your main goals going forward is you want to be Utah's Entrepreneur of the Year, right?
Yeah, for sure.
What's your game plan? What's your game plan to achieve that goal? Is that going to be through Anthem? Is that going to be through, what's your game plan?
I have some really cool stuff that I wish I could divulge to you, but I have some really cool stuff coming up that we'll announce and release. That'll be, we evolve. So like, this is my first thing. It's not necessarily my forever thing. And you evolve and you should evolve. And I have so many entrepreneurs that have been the entrepreneur of the year in Utah that are my friends. And I'm learning from them how they do it. How did you get your name out there? What do you have to do in revenue at your company? What type of company is it? How is it set up? How do you market your business and yourself to be on that list and have a chance? What do you got to do? And so I'm learning those things as we speak. And that's a big one for me, just because that I feel like is it might be like a patch for you, but everything for me is legacy. Like, I want people to know, like, okay, he played football at the highest level. He performed at the highest level. He did that. But when I was over, that wasn't the end of Mitch. He reinvented himself and he kept going and he did something totally new and he made it to the NFL of business, whatever that means, and that's what I want to do, so that my family knows that we don't make excuses. My family knows that when hard times come, this is how we handle it. This is what we do. And when hard times come or things change unexpectedly, this is how you handle it. This is what you do. And so that's a legacy and a blueprint that I'm going to give off to my kids. So it's my duty to perform at the highest level. It's not necessarily my duty to be the entrepreneur of the year in Utah, but it's my duty to perform at the highest level in the thing that I'm choosing. Whatever my kids choose to do, whether it's violin, piano, sports, soccer, whatever it is, they're going to be taught that whatever you choose, we're going for greatness. And greatness is going to be a great athlete, a great violinist, a great singer, but also a great human being. So whatever arena you're in, we're going for greatness. And that is how I'm handling my life. Is I'm on that mission. I'm attempting that. And through football, I had some awesome high highs and some low lows. And in business, the same thing will happen. I'm going for that high tier of business, and I want to change a lot of lives because it's my duty to see what I can do. I'm in the arena of entrepreneurship. I'm in it. There's a lot of other people here. How can we and I change the world in some way? And that's the mission I'm on. And I'm going to do it in some way. It's going to be big. And it might not be this first thing that I have, this first business, but we evolve as people. I was listening to a podcast by Grant Cardone. He didn't start his business that he has now until he was like 51 or 52 years old. I'm 32 years old. I had so much freaking time. And so we evolve, we get better. There's levels to this, there's stages to this. And I'm going to see what I can do from this and see who I can inspire.
Got it. So the path to become entrepreneur of the year is going to be found through other businesses that we're not going to divulge at this time, if I'm correct, or maybe it's just still something you're reaching for and you don't necessarily have. This is step 1, step 2, step 3. What's going on in your mind?
Well, I wish I knew exactly. Like, if you're going to be the entrepreneur of the year in Utah, you're going to have to do something novel, right? If you're starting a roofing company and you're roofing company number 1,000 out there, well, what's your chance to do something special? And who did you help along the way? And so you're going to want to put yourself in a position to be very unique, be very different, or like Crumble did something totally different, right? Mm-hmm. And no one had done it before. So it's going to draw a lot of attention to you that you sort of trailblaze this new market. And so it could be through pest control. I'm just thinking that it's going to be something that I'll do in my next phase, 5-10 years from now, whatever it is, that'll be very impactful to humans and help a lot of people, but also be a massive business as well. But I know Jeremy Andrews with Traeger was the entrepreneur of the year. They took Traeger from nothing, doing $20 million in sales, to now they're worth a couple billion. Like that's something noteworthy, right? And so whatever I have to do to do something that great, that's what I have to attempt to do, and putting myself in a position where that's possible with the right partners, the right people. And if it is through pest control, absolutely. I know someone won the Entrepreneur of the Year in Utah from that, but they're also a trailblazer in this industry. They're one of the first, right? And so where is my place? Is it 5-10 years from now? Is it a different business? Where is my place? What am I going to do? And how am I going to make that impact? And I'll put myself there to give myself that chance.
Got it. What was the smartest business pivot you've ever made?
I don't know if I've made a one like big enough to even share. Ask me in 10 years. We'll talk about that one
Okay.
again.
Okay. 10 years. I'll put it on the
Well,
calendar.
they'll probably be able, but for now, we've done the same thing. We've copied and pasted every year and we've gotten better. We haven't pivoted a ton. We've added a lot of cool new things. Like we're going to add in a lot of, we have amazing sales reps, and that'll be one big arm of our business, but we're going to add in some AI, and it's going to help us generate leads for pest control as well. And then we're adding in some different sales avenues and funnels to sort of compete with our door-to-door sales guys. And that's great. I wouldn't say that's a pivot, but it's just times change. Every 5 years, your business should look totally different, different. And that's what we're figuring out right now.
Got it. It's going to keep bothering me if I don't ask this question. You said you want to have a business that has a wide influence and has the ability to have a huge impact. Do you know what that is yet, or is that still in development?
It's in development.
Got it.
We'll do a podcast
5 years.
We'll do a podcast in 6 months.
Got it.
And
Cool.
It'll be insane.
I can't wait. So what as entrepreneurs in business in general, it seems like you're always trying to solve problems. And solving problems, I've learned, is actually a good thing because it means things are happening, things are moving, and it means that things are progressing. What's the biggest problem you're trying to solve right now to get to the next level?
In my life or my business, elaborate on that.
In business, we'll first talk about Anthem. Like, what's stopping you? So you said you're doing 20 recurring right now in Rev. That's great. That's awesome. How are you guys going to get to 50? And then also in your personal, what is going to get Mitch to that next level, to that next platform?
Well, I'll just say this is like, I won't go in this, the like each individual segment. I'll just say this in general. I tell people this all the time. My part-time job is entrepreneurship. My full-time job is I am a friend collector. That's what I do all day. I make friends. I accept podcasts like this because I'm an energy guy. I'm an emotions guy. And I would say my superpower is being a great friend and meeting and desiring to meet a lot of people. And some people I do things like this with, and it's just not the right vibe. You know, they're awesome, but it's not the right vibe. Well, I do another one the next day, and it's an amazing vibe, and that person can somehow help me, and I can help them, and now it's this real, genuine friendship. And so that's why I do these things, because my strategies and things that I implement at Anthem or any business are not going to be the reason why that business is big. It's not. It's going to be because I've networked and was a full-time friend collector. And I found some person, some human being that's going to come into my business or into my life, and they're going to change the business for me. Because culture eats strategy for lunch. And who builds culture? People. And so finding the next VP, the next CFO, CEO, president, whoever, networking and finding and collecting people to be able to draw on anyone at the right time to help your business is how it's going to grow. My favorite story ever in entrepreneurship probably is when Steve Jobs asked John Sculley, who was the CEO of Pepsi, to come work at Apple. And John Sculley told Steve Jobs no like 20 times. And then Steve Jobs tells him, hey, do you want to sell sugar water for the rest of your life, or do you want to come change the world with me? And then John Sculley actually ended up being the CEO at Apple. And Apple was already doing $500 million a year at Apple. But he still knew that I can create an iPod shuffle. I can have some sort of strategy to make Apple bigger, or I can add in a baller CEO and have him come take me from 500 million to 10 billion in annual revenue. It's a 20x. It was a human being. It wasn't a strategy. And so for me, I'm a part-time entrepreneur, full-time friend collector, full-time people collector. I make friends and collect friendships and collect people in my life because they're going to need me to serve them one day. I'm going to have to serve someone. And my wife and I are having 26 new couples over to our house this year for dinner. That's wow. One every 2 weeks, because friends are everything. Out of those 26 couples, one of them is going to call me one day and say, I really need your help with something. And I'm going to say, hell yeah, because we're friends. Of course, I'm going to help you. And I'm also going to do the opposite. Hey, man, look, I know you have a job, but I really need you to come be my new president of sales over here. And so I'm a full-time people collector. And that's all I want to do is make a lot of authentic friendships, never fake. I can't do the fake. But that's my full-time job. And so at Anthem, at the next thing, I want to be a guy who's had hundreds and hundreds of authentic friends who can call on me whenever, and I can call on them whenever too, whether it's for personal or for business. But I know that'll pay me massive dividends because people change businesses, not strategy. And so you're asking what am I going to do to like go to that next 10, 20x? Well, I'll do exactly what Steve Jobs did. I'll go find people that I'll go take my company to those levels.
That's a unique take. I am completely honest. I have not heard that. The way that I kind of worked it in my mind is you're leveraging, obviously, like not leveraging, like taking advantage of, but like leveraging in a good way of friendships. And I think you're totally right. Bringing people into a business can be the best thing you've ever done or the hardest thing that you've ever had to go through, because oftentimes working with friends in business can be quite a nightmare.
Sure.
Very cool. I appreciate your time.
By the way, it's not like every single person will be your best friend. It's just, I want something that I can make an authentic connection with. You know, I might have dinner with somebody and we're not best friends at the moment, but we have a connection where we vibe the same. Their energy is the same as mine. And then we start talking about business. And now that person's my next CFO or whatever, you know, or my next franchisee of X, right? So that's why I'm out there to find authentic relationships, not just besties, right? I'm out there to find authentic relationships because they're going to need me and I'm going to need them.
Got it. Great. 2 more questions to finish off. I really appreciate your time so far. It's been great. I've learned a ton. Who's an entrepreneur that you look up to? I know you look up to actually, let me rephrase that. I remember that you spent a day shadowing the CEO of Traeger, and you said that was one of the most impactful days of your business career. Why? Why? What did you learn that was so impactful? Because you've been around some of the highest level people. Why was shadowing the CEO of Traeger so impactful?
Yes, I was 27 years old. I hit Jeremy up. Jeremy was a big BYU fan, and we connected at BYU because I was a huge Jeremy fan. He was a huge fan. And so we connected in college. And when I became an entrepreneur, I hit him up and said, hey, Jeremy, like I'm new at this whole thing. I don't know how to lead a company, man. Can I just come shadow you for like a day? He's like, you really want to shadow me? I'm like, yeah. I mean, I know that's what like the 18-year-old kids are doing, but I don't care. Like I have no pride, you know, like I just want to learn from you. He's like, yeah, that's what you want to do. Sure. So he invited me up to Traeger and I was up there for 12 hours and I sat in silence, just watching him move and navigate and go through his meetings. And it was mind blowing. Like he's a Harvard trained CEO, right? So it's not like anyone can just like whip that up how he acts. Like that's years of training. And he took Skull Candy from nothing to public. So he'd been through it. Now he's running $1 billion brand at Traeger. And so I was able to watch a master at work. Truly, that's truly what it is. And how he talked to his employees, how he talked to his executives, the types of meetings he had. Not all the meetings had the same theme. And he would label the meetings as certain themes so they could stay hyper-focused. And the way he treated the new people. And the way it happened is it was 100% authentic. I knew just because I was sitting in the room with him, it was not only different because I was there. It was authentic and it was real. And him and I go hiking like once probably every 4 or 5 months. And I just got back off a hike from him like, you know, probably 3 weeks ago. And it's the same thing every time. I just learned so much from him. And I just watched how he spoke to people, navigated, thought, pondered, made decisions, big ones and small ones. And I remember thinking, dude, I never went to class in college because I was just too focused on football. And people always hate me for saying that, but it's true. I literally never went to class. But that, like those moments are my schooling. Like spending 12 hours with Jeremy Andrus is like, it was like getting a semester at Harvard, you know, and having all these friends, like the CEO of Built Bar, it's a friend of mine, and going to hang out with him and picking his brain. Those are my moments of schooling. I read a ton. Those are my moments of schooling. And so for me, watching masters at work, reading their books, meeting with them in person. That's my schooling. And that goes along with what I was saying before is I'm a full-time people collector, man. That's all I do.
Got
Like
it.
when I was in college, I didn't go to class. I just met with the teacher one-on-one to help me out with like other stuff, a side hustle I had. I didn't go to class, but I had lunch with Jeremy Andrus a ton. I didn't go to school, but I met with all these founders and we had lunch. And so that was my schooling, because I know that people are going to be everything in my business. And I'm starting to add this army of friends and people into my life that I can draw on when I need.
Very cool. Great. I that's a cool experience, and I wanted to ask you about it. So thanks for sharing that. So last question to finish off. I am 23 years old, just turned 23. I'm working
Nice.
for one of the largest YouTubers in the personal finance niche. We've started 3 businesses. Our goal is to scale our real estate company from 0 to multi-billion-dollar company. What pieces of advice do you have for me?
First of all, doing what you're doing right now is amazing. Like you're going
you.
to have 50 podcasts over the next year, let's say. Well, 20 of them, you're like, it was just a podcast and it was great. 20 of them, you're going to stay in contact with, but then 10 of them are going to be your boys. And they're going to be people that you call on to invest in that next real estate deal. And they're going to tell you yes, because you're friends with them, So already what you're doing is what you should be doing, collecting people into your life and making genuine friendships with people. So everyone that you have a podcast with, man, like find ways to continue to reach out to them weekly and monthly and serve them so that it actually is genuine. Like I talk to my friends every week. I don't talk to them once and then never again. So find ways to actually build friendships, because there's going to become a point where you need to raise $10 million for this new apartment complex that you're building or whatever. And you need 30 friends you can call on real fast. That's how you make the world spin quicker. So people is everything. Everything. Like if we were all the smartest people in the world, engineers, the Elon Musks, we would have already invented a car by now. You know what I mean? So like, that's not us. That's not you and I. It's not the next 150 people I'll talk to today. Everyone's going to make it because of how good they are with people. You know what I mean? Like if you were some engineer that could invent something and become a billionaire from like one thing you invented in a lab, you would have already done that, or you'd be in a lab. You're in the people business. And so you're going to make the more money than the next guy, or you're going to hit your goals based upon people, not some laboratory invention or inventing a new car or some new technology. Maybe you would, but like,
I don't think so.
But that's the business we're in, is we're in the people business. So get to know as many people as humanly possible, because I've pondered and thought and studied things and still not come to a conclusion. And I have a mentor buddy call me and say, just freaking do this. And you do it and they're right. Because it's people that gave me the answer, And so people collect as many authentic friendships as possible. They will come in and they will serve you. Read a ton, like a ton. I read 40 books in 40 straight weeks before my first selling season, because I wanted to pack my brain full of knowledge. I still read all the time to this day, podcasts, all this stuff to pack my brain full. And then it's full time. It's people all day long. So that's genuinely what I'll say.
Got it. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mitch.
Course, man.
How can people find you if they want to follow your journey, if they want to keep up with you? Where do people find you, and what's the best way to get in contact with you if somebody needs something?
IG, hit me up, Mitch Matthews 10 on Instagram.
Got it. Cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. Go show Mitch some love. Go follow him on the IG. Leave a comment down below. Thank you guys for watching. Like always, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. It was awesome having Mitch Matthews come on. If you guys haven't yet, quickly check out those links down below. I'd really appreciate it. Put your email in there. You'll get an email from me completely free every single day of the week with some sort of business lesson that I'm working on, that I'm trying to learn, or I've learned from Kevin or from Mitch Matthews or whoever it may be. Check out that link down below. If you haven't yet, consider subscribing. The more people that subscribe, the bigger guests we're going to get like Mitch Matthews. I appreciate everybody that has subscribed so far. And like always, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.